Dickerson's aide asked me to refute some of what had just been said at this table a moment ago, and you know, I'm afraid I just can't do it. It has been, the prohibitionists have had the run of play for the last 40 years. This year is the 40th anniversary of Richard Nixon first using the phrase war on drugs. And in those 40 years, the prohibitionists have spent more than $1 trillion. They have shredded the U.S. Constitution. I would say that all the insults to that near sacred document, whether it's in the areas of privacy of papers or search and seizure or firearms or wrongful incarceration, all have common root in the war on drugs. Whether it's that or whether it's the fact that they have packed our courts. Now fewer than 5% of all criminal charges filed actually go to a full trial because of the let's make a deal attitude that is in large part motivated by the war on drugs prevails in our courts here in Washington and across the country, and they have packed our prisons. In the land of the free, in the home of the brave, we have the largest penal system in the United States. It is far beyond any of our peers in Western Europe. It is far beyond any of our peers in East Asia. It is now approaching the state of servitude that we saw only in communist Russia and Nazi Germany. And you would ask me to trade specifics with people who are in favor of this policy? Not at all, not for a moment. It is up to them to prove that they've been able, through their fascist policies, to keep marijuana out of the hands of our children, and they have not done it. Rather, I hold up another example. It is the example that we present to you today, and that's the example of tobacco. Tobacco is taxed.
I'm gonna try and manage the tone here a little bit. I'm happy to have you speak to the specifics about the issue, but I'd prefer that you not
I apologize.
Impugn other people's motivations on how we're doing this. So
I apologize. I was out of hand.
Appreciate that.
It was only the fact that, for example, a black man in prohibitionist America is 6 to 7 times more likely to go to prison than a black man in apartheid South Africa. That is the sort of thing that's engendered this, I guess, rage in me. But I will hold up a counterexample to you, and that is tobacco. Tobacco is regulated, it is taxed heavily, and yet none of the things that we've heard supposed here have come to pass. There are no illegal tobacco grows in our national forests. There is no large-scale smuggling in the western United States of tobacco. Rather, tobacco provides a steady stream of income to the state. It provides a means whereby tobacco can be placed under lock and key and kept away from our children. And finally, in the generation that's passed since the Surgeon General's report, that is, since tobacco policy that's based on honest science and good public policy, we've seen the number of tobacco users, juvenile and adult alike, decrease by half. This is a real success in public health, and one which I believe the bill in question would help start to bring about here in Washington State. Again, in closing, I'll take any questions, and I do apologize for my hyperbole, but sometimes enough is enough.
Honored Chair, committee members, my name is George Rohrbacher. I served in the Washington State Senate. I'm a cattle rancher. I'm the author of The Farming Game, used in schools and homes all across the world. I'm a medical marijuana patient. I'm a parent and a grandparent, and I'm a member of the board of directors of NORML. 4 decades of farming, pounding fence posts, splitting wood, clearing rocks, etc., has left me with spinal stenosis, 2 ruptured discs in my neck, and searing pain in my hands. I've been forced to retire from ranching, stopped dead by this work-related injury. I could no longer tough my way through it. The pain's not so bad during the day, it's at night when it gets you. My future is defined by dealing with this, including perhaps a $200,000 neck operation with potentially further debilitating consequences. Medical marijuana and its pain-relieving and anti-inflammatory properties has helped me deal with this in a non-surgical way. The DEA's very own Chief Administrative Law Judge Francis L. Young once ruled that marijuana in its natural form is one of the safest therapeutically active substances known to mankind. I've used cannabis recreationally on and off for 42 years. I've used cannabis medicinally for 25 years. I've used medical marijuana in this state legally with a doctor's recommendation for the last 8 years. Over 22 million Americans have been arrested for marijuana charges since the Uniform Crime Reporting Act of 1965. And for what good purpose? Absolutely none. A marijuana arrest today for the young and for the young and persons of color can become an economic death sentence. And in these modern times with the internet, there is no such thing as expunging your record. Cannabis should be legal, and it needs to be legal, and it will eventually become legal. And I hope my home state, the state of Washington, will take the lead for the rest of the country. As a farmer, the talk today already has been about essentially the recreational and medicinal cannabis market. What I'm here to talk about is hemp, the non-psychoactive portion of the cannabis family. Currently, there's $350 million worth of economic activity with products that you can buy in our grocery stores and pharmacies. The shampoo I used on my hair, the hemp seed I put on my cereal for breakfast, and I, as an American farmer, cannot grow those crops. I cannot compete. There's oils for cosmetics, the fiber for paper and for automotive industrial panels. If you travel out about where the Snake River meets the Columbia, you'll see hundreds of circles growing nothing but fast-growing poplar trees. Well, they're fast-growing compared to a cedar tree, I guess, but 10 or 20 or 30 years of crop time doesn't allow a private farmer to compete in the fiber business. If hemp were grown, it could be grown in the same rotation as silage corn. And it's a very, very important thing to agriculture to have additional crops for crop rotation and also diversity in crop and crop markets. And I could go on about this for a long time, but I'd like to hand off my time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hunter and members of the committee for giving me the opportunity to speak today. For the record, my name is Heather Villanueva. I'm here on behalf of 40,000 long-term care workers who are united in SEIU Healthcare 775 Northwest. 775 has taken a position on this bill because it adds a meaningful alternative to the deep cuts to services in the budget. Our support is simple. It's about priorities of government and it's about revenue. For years, 775 has been talking with our board, legislators, experts, and organizations like the ACLU and others about the prospect of legalizing marijuana. We have tracked and analyzed proposals and thoughtfully weighed different aspects of legalization, including taxation, regulation, public safety, fairness within the criminal justice system, and other points which many people have touched on today. We believe that this bill strikes the right balance. At a time when we are looking at every state-funded program and deciding whether to slash funding that helps low-income students go to college, eliminate healthcare services for working adults, or taking money away from prescription drugs to seniors, essentially stripping the safety net programs which often serve as prevention for people at high risk for poverty and all the socioeconomic ailments that are associated with being poor. We need all options on the table. These are terrible choices in the budget, and without alternatives like this one, we know that every state program will be cut and the future of our state will be permanently threatened. Based on the fiscal note, the bill would generate over $12 million in revenue for cities and counties per year and hundreds of millions for the state, as much as $471 million per biennium in 2015 through 2017. That's not even counting the savings that would be achieved from enforcement, which I would just like to highlight briefly. Prosecution and public defense costs for felony cases, $6.8 million per biennium, $3.4 million annually. Jail costs for felony cases, $4.2 million per biennium, $2 million annually. Prosecution and public defense costs for misdemeanor possession, 14.3 million per biennium, 7 million annually. Arrest costs for misdemeanor possessions, 6.2 million per biennium, 3.1 million annually. These are all in the fiscal note, so I'll move on. There are many other costs that are associated that are not reflected in these numbers. All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your testimony. Thank you. Thank you all. So that'll end our work session on that bill.